Hey, what's up, cinephiles? It's Cinephile Philip Wayne, and today we're in Estes Park, Colorado, and we're going to tour the Stanley Hotel, the site of The Shining. Come on, let's go check it out. The Stanley Hotel was built by Freeland Oscar Stanley and opened in 1909, offering luxurious amenities like electric lights, telephones, and in-suite bathrooms for its time. The Stanley Hotel's lobby's most prominent feature is its grand staircase, nicknamed the Vortex, for its alleged strong paranormal energy. There are several scenes from the hit movie Dumb and Dumber that were filmed on the stairs. One has Jim Carrey's character Lloyd dressed up as a yuppie cowboy, and the other is of Lloyd and Mary racing to the top of the stairs. Speaking of Dumb and Dumber, you may remember a scene where Lloyd shows up to an Aspen bar much too early to meet up with Mary, which was actually this bar, the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. As you enter the bar, you will see lots of photographs and autographs of celebrities and people who have visited and stayed at the Stanley Hotel and visited this amazing bar. This bar is where Jim Carrey filmed the iconic scene. It is a beautiful bar. It has been rebuilt and reconstructed over the years. As we take a tour around, we come across photographs of both Jim Carrey as well as Stephen King. Before turning around and leaving the bar, we spot the iconic "We've landed on the moon." And if you'll remember, this is where Jim Carrey's character, exiting the bar, yelled impromptu, "We landed on the moon." As we continue to make our way through the lobby, it's interesting to note that Stephen King inspiration for The Shining stemmed from a real-life experience staying at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The novel incorporates the supernatural elements of the hotel's alleged haunted history and the setting of the Overlook Hotel, which is loosely based on the Stanley Hotel. Additionally, The Shining was influenced by other horror works, including Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, Edgar Allan Poe stories, and Robert Marasco's Burnt Offerings. In the lobby is this beautiful older piano, which we were not allowed to touch, but it was such a joy to look at. This is a piece of history that is immortalized in the lobby of the Stanley Hotel. As we continue our tour through the lobby, the Chrysalis Room, which is actually the gift shop. You can get anything from wine glasses, scotch glasses, shot glasses, souvenir Stanley Hotel shirts, hats, and so on. Next we come to the music room, aptly named. This is actually the wine bar. The wine bar hosts live music by someone playing the piano. It was absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. Here you can get glasses of wine, alcoholic drinks, and some light snacks. One of the biggest things about this area here is the Stanley Hotel wine. For $120, you can get a bottle of the Stanley Hotel's Room 217 wine. I'm not a wine connoisseur. This wine was absolutely fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it so much I had to buy a bottle. For $120, you can have a bottle of the Stanley Hotel's Room 217 wine. Only 600 cases were made, so this is sure to be a collector's item. One area that fans of The Shining always look forward to when visiting the Stanley Hotel is the Stanley Hotel hedge maze. There has been no hedge maze at the Stanley Hotel until recently. For years, fans have flocked to the Stanley Hotel in hopes of a glimpse of something resembling The Shining. However, until 2015, there was not a hedge maze at the Stanley. So, to celebrate 20 years of hotel ownership, John W. Cullen, the Stanley's current owner, decided to act on the old "the customer is always right" and build a visitor's labyrinth. According to the New York Times, the hotel hosted a competition and chose a layout designed by New York architect Miriam Dalliran. Planted in June, the Juniper Maze is now 3 feet tall, so children can play without getting irretrievably lost. It sits outside the enormous hotel, just begging for a good old-fashioned game of hide-and-seek. No axes or Jack Nicholson allowed. Next on our tour of the Stanley Hotel, we walk out the back doors and we're able to see this beautiful patio area. Now, it's still wintertime up here in Estes Park, Colorado, so there's still a little snow on the ground. It's cold. That's the reason why the umbrellas aren't up and there's no one at that bar. But look at this beautiful fountain area and the stairs leading up to, where do they lead? Well, there's this sign. As we're walking around out back, we come across the wine bar and rose garden. We go inside the rose garden, but again, it's wintertime and there are no roses in bloom. We won't bore you with just walking around an empty rose garden. Rounding the corner, we come across a snowman that has refused to melt, and while we were outside, we were graced with the bells at the Stanley Hotel. Just listen. When we entered the Stanley Hotel from the back, we went down the stairs and we found this amazing liquor shop. It had vintage whiskey, it had bourbon, it even had this interesting Jack Daniels bottle of basically Stanley Hotel Jack Daniels whiskey. Now for $99.99 it can stay there, but it was a really cool bottle and it was a really cool place to visit. Before you exit the liquor store, off to the left is this really cool conference room that has some very expensive liquors on the wall. But as we turn and look, you can see the big long table along with the chairs. It was a really neat meeting space. As soon as we exit the liquor store, we're in the lower level of the Stanley Hotel. This has some different memorabilia and some different things in it. What's really cool about the downstairs area is that as you're walking around in the different areas, they have a place for Stanley Hotel tours. They have a Shining tour. They have a haunted tour. They have all sorts of neat things here. Lots of old relics like this old stove. Lots of different things from the TV show that was filmed here a few years ago. This is where you can actually take some of the tours. It's a really neat area. They've also got a chocolate shop, which you can see here on the left-hand side. A little chocolate shop. And as we go a little bit further, we can see this empty fish tank, but it has like skeletons and things in it. It's a really neat area. This area is where a tour is about to take place, and those are actually my children right there getting ready to take a tour. I say children, one's 18, the other's 23. They'll always be kids to me. This is hanging on the wall, and it basically talks about the owners of the Stanley Hotel, a little bit about the history of the Stanley Hotel. It's really neat. We continue to make our way through, and we can see this is the room that they were just in with the tour. It's now empty, and again, this is just filled with memorabilia from The Shining. I believe the original acts that Jack Nicholson used is there. Different things about Dumb and Dumber. It's just a really neat place. But then we come at the end of the hallway, and here's a neat little coffee shop, an area to get some snacks, get some coffee, get some different things. As a matter of fact, we have just located something that we are going to need to try. We've gotten some apple cider, some hot chocolate, some coffee, and... All right, so no trip to the Stanley Hotel is complete without getting a red rum, red velvet cake, which is my favorite. Let's give it a try and see how it is. That's worth the whole trip right there. As we were preparing to leave, we came across the lodge at the Stanley Hotel. The lodge is directly across from the Stanley Hotel, and it looks like a miniature version of the Stanley Hotel. It is laid out almost identical to how the Stanley Hotel is laid out, only on a smaller scale. Inside the Stanley, again, it's a smaller version of what we experienced in the larger portion of the Stanley Hotel. This is a more intimate boutique hotel. It has a little restaurant in it. That's what's in this side. And as we make our look around, the lodge mixes elegance with a boutique and more intimate style. Here is a recreation of the staircase in the Stanley Hotel, the lodge. As we look around, we can see the chandelier, we can see some of the mirrors. It's absolutely beautiful. The lodge itself was breathtaking, and it was one of my favorite places. It just exuded luxury. We walk over this way, and this is a little banquet room, a little meeting room that they have on the right side upon entering. Very beautiful, very professional. Looks like you could host, some chess games or a bridge game in here. But I really want to share this next section with you. As we make our way down this hall, we came across what ended up being my absolute favorite room in the entire place. This room right here is absolutely stunning. From the wood paneling, the wood on the wall, the stone fireplace, the leather, the antique goods that were in this room, I told my wife that if I was going to die, get me to the lodge at the Stanley Hotel and sit me in this room, as this is a room I would want to die in. I was so breathtakingly in awe of the luxury of everything about this room. It just exudes exquisite luxury. I want to redesign my house and my living room to look like this room. It's just an absolute neat place to go and a neat place to visit. So that concludes our tour of the Stanley Hotel. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, make it a great day.